let's go over these defensive stats here. Interception leader, Xavier Howard, favored 6-1 odds. J.C. Jackson, new addition to the Chargers, 7-1 odds. Trayvon Diggs plus 750, and so on and so forth. Go ahead, Harry. Hit us with some J.C. Jackson action.
Absolutely. New team, same result. 17 picks last 2 seasons. Absolutely going to be bolster that LA Charger defense that had just 11 picks a year ago. And to show how good he is around the ball, I think I made a point like this a couple of pods ago. The entire Raiders and the entire Lions team has 25 picks combined each in the last 3 years. Jackson's been in the NFL for 4 years. He's got 25 himself. Meanwhile, those two just have 25 over the last 3 years. Jackson's always around the ball. Fantastic defender. 7-1. I love it.
All right. So here's the thing. Like, interceptions are, I don't want to say they're lucky, Parlay Kid, but it's a lot of right time, right place, right time. Be there when it's tipped, all that, right? Like, I'm trying to think like Diggs, because otherwise Diggs would be the big favorite, right? Going into this year. I mean, he have 11? 11 last year. So why wouldn't he be the big favorite? And
he's done it 1 year.
Well, look,
11. I just think the biggest, the guy, the best players year after year are around 4 or 5 is what I'm saying. Now, I'm not even saying he's the best player because he has 11. I'm saying it's a little bit fluky, and that's what I do worry about with the Cowboys defense. Who do you have, Parlay Kid?
Well, listen, it's been 40 years. Yeah. It's been 40 years since somebody led the league in interceptions for back-to-back years, and we know who that was. Al Everson Walls, our pal Everson, who was fantastic. Look, here's the thing with Diggs, and we've talked about it because Diggs, I've never seen a player who had a year like he had last year who got trashed more because of the stat nerds who say, well, he gives up 1,000 yards. But I say, well, that's fine then in terms of interceptions because I guess teams are going to keep throwing on him, right? If he's not a good cornerback, like everybody says, he's just kind of a guy who can intercept the ball, and they're going to keep throwing on him. I think that it lends itself to him having another great year, interception-wise.
All right,
if teams are gonna, if they're going to throw on Diggs, he's going to pick balls off. Dan Quinn allows him to play an aggressive style at corner there. He's tall, he's rangy, he's got good hands, he's got good makeup speed. Why not roll the dice with him at plus 750? He was by far and away. And look, J.C. Jackson just had ankle surgery, so that's not going to help him with those odds. I mean, I don't know how long he's going to be out for, but I just like Diggs. I think that he's a ball hawk, right? Yep. Something the Cowboys haven't had in ages.
It definitely helps. It was definitely, I mean, points allowed per game went from, was like 35 to 26 or something, almost 10 points. So a lot of it was due to
he gets trashed. He gets trashed though.
Well, Harry, how was he supposed to do it 2 years in a row? Like it was on Alabama in 2020. What do you want to do?
His first year he was terrible.
No, I know it wasn't terrible.
He smoked plenty.
He was pretty good. He was pretty good.
Smoked plenty.
Oh, come on. This is ridiculous. All right, Bri, who are you taking?
I'm taking Patrick Surtain second at 20-1. And like you said, this is definitely a crapshoot. If a cornerback gets double digits, they're probably winning this thing. But you could be such a good, like Parlay Kid was just saying, I mean, you could be such a good cornerback that you never get thrown on and you don't even have a chance. But when I look at value, I mean, Patrick Surtain coming into his second season may already be a top cornerback in football. He might already be. This year, he could become top 2 or 3 cornerback. He graded out as one of the better ones last year. It's funny because him and Diggs were teammates, I think, for 2 years at Alabama. But yeah, he graded out really well. He had four interceptions last year. And, like we said, interceptions are random. So, he has a good shot as anyone on this list to get up there. So at 20-1, I personally, I know Howard's had 2 good years back to back, but I personally would not take somebody at those odds. I think you got to go for a little longer shot with interceptions. This again, more of a crapshoot than any of the other ones we've done. So
that's what I'm thinking because it's more of a crapshoot. Take 2-3 guys in the mid and long range. I like Kevin Byard at 16-1. Titans is 23 in 5 years. Pretty good. That's steady. So you can expect they'll be right around 4 to 6 to 7, right in there. No safety has had more in that span, by the way. He had 5 last year. He had 13 passes defended. They throw his way. Another ball hawker, always around the ball. Suspect quarterbacks in the division: Lawrence, Mills, Ryan. New diet and a steady diet of film. I mean, he committed to film last year. He actually said, yeah, I'm going to start watching film, and it paid dividends. He actually admitted to watching more, and it led to another all-pro season. Kevin Byard, 16-1. So that's our interception breakdown for defensive players. All right, right now it's time for our Buffalo Wild Wings spicy pick of the week. I will judge your selection for sack leader based on BWW Spice scale. The sack leader totals: TJ Watt is plus 650, Myles Garrett plus 700. Harry, you going with either of those two or off the board?
Off the board, Sal. Well, listen, I'm loading up on the Vikings, so why wouldn't I take a defensive guy, right? I'm taking Danielle Hunter at 14-1. Hunter fully recovered from injuries after playing just 7 games in the last 2 years. Before that, he had 14.5 sacks in 2018 and the same amount in 2019. He's back in at 27, still has the capabilities to be dominant. And I'm calling it right now, TPK. Week 1, Aaron Rodgers against the Packers, he goes for a deuce.
Whoa, he's going to take a shit on the field? That's not good. Shouldn't have that during the read. Harry, I'm going to go with, you know what? I like the player. I don't think he's fully healthy. I don't think that guy will ever be fully healthy. I'm sorry. Honey barbecue, somewhere towards the bottom of the spiciness scale. Sorry. No good.
Not a big fan there.
All right. Parlay Kid, who's your sack leader?
Boy, so I got a lot of good guys to choose from here, but I'm going to go with Trey Hendrickson at 14-1. This guy on the Cincinnati Bengals. I know Harry's a big fan of his. He's got a nonstop motor, 27.5 sacks the last 2 years. The Bengals have improved their defensive line to free him up even more than he has been. He had a 10-game sack streak last year. Teams are going to be playing from behind against the Bengals. They're going to have to throw the ball, helping Trey Hendrickson lead the league in sacks. Sal, he's going to go for 17 this year. Going to lead the league.
Wow. All right. You know what? I'll give you Mango Habanero. I like that. You got some questionable quarterbacks in that division, right? You're going to have, for the most part, Jacoby Brissett. What else are you going to have? All right. Lamar Jackson will run
Trubisky.
free if he wants. Trubisky or the rookie in there for Pittsburgh. Yep. So that's what I'm like. I don't mind Hendrickson right there. What did I give you? I gave you
Mango Habanero.
Oh, that's a good one. That's a hot one. Mango Habanero. All right, Brother Bry, you staying close to home here with this pick.
Well, can I first say, when we did this Buffalo Wild Wings segment, I don't know if it was last week. Was it last week? I know Parlay Kid and Harry gave out Sauce Gardner, and he's since signed that deal with Buffalo Wild Wings. So
I gave it.
That might have to do with what Parlay Kid said there. So I just want to say.
So you're saying Trey Hendrickson might actually he's next?
So he might win this. But yeah, I look at odds, and again, I'm looking for somebody with some good odds there. So I'm looking at Max Crosby at 30-1. Now, I will say he does not have the sack totals when you look at him. He's had 10, 7, and 8 in his first 3 seasons, but he's poised for a breakout in terms of sacks. Like Parlay Kid was saying with Hendrickson, Crosby's motor just does not stop. You bring in Chandler Jones this year, which is going to help a great deal. And Crosby was a top 3-4 defensive player last year, even without the sacks. He led the league in QB pressures. So not necessarily saying it's a little bit unlucky with the sacks, but when you lead the league in pressures, you should get more sacks. I think this year's sack total jumps up to top 5 in the NFL. So I think at 30-1, you get some great value here with Crosby.
I love that guy. I love that pick. I think it's wild. Not wild like you're crazy to take it. Wild on the scale right there. 3 from the top. Brother Brian, nice. There you go. Yes, www.buffalowildwings.com/fantasy. Book your fantasy football draft party right now. There you go. We should have Buffalo Wild Wings. So it's hard to eat over Zoom. I guess we could have ordered them to the house, Harry, right? How many would your brother have been able to eat? I mean, he was it was making me sick because I know it was hot there in Oswego, and there was just like so many blankets and linens, and I just right. It was just so like a Sherpa who's laying there.
That was very late for him. Very late for him to be up. I don't know.
Late it was. Oh, let me throw a pick in. Nick Bosa right there, 16-1, 15.5 last year, plus 4.5 in the playoffs. No player has ever led the league in sacks. Probably, kid, you mentioned interceptions. No one's done it 2 years in a row. No player's ever led the league in sacks 3 straight seasons. That's what TJ Watt would be looking at. I like Bosa. 49ers defense should once again prove to be a miserable experience for other quarterbacks. You got Eric Armstead back in the fold after he missed time with knee injury. Javon Kinlaw, who Kyle Shanahan said seems more like himself. I like that a lot there, coming back from ACL. So 35 games, 24.5 sacks. Stay healthy, Nick Bosa. You'll win this award at 16-1. I will say, when I was digging around for stats, Bri, TJ Watt. Well, can you call him underrated? He should be. We should be singing many, many songs about him. I think I don't because of Damashek, and I just want it to go away already.
Yeah. Well, what do you? I mean, he had 22 sacks in 15 games.
Yeah,
22.5. So I mean, could have got 25.
Tied the record, right?
Could have had 25 last year if he played 17. Yeah. No, he is underrated. I mean, again, if he's healthy, you almost got to just have money on him and then one other guy, right? You take him and somebody else. So I think,
right.
Yeah.
So these are good. These, well, I like all these, even for wide receiver, all of them for big odds right in the middle, 14, 16, or a Crosby at 30-1 is nice, Bri, too. All right, let's do a defensive prop, a bonus prop. Harry, go ahead. Blake Martinez, give us what you have to say about Blake Martinez.
I mean, honestly, really?
He could do it. I mean, just because he was cut, it doesn't mean
no,
shy away from this pick. No?
They made a spot open for Tyree Phillips, and they cut him. This late in the season, and he just came back from injury last year. I mean, he did everything. He was ready to play, and now he's not on the. This is brutal.
Shocking.
It's the Giants again making another. Listen, I got a better pick. I got Fred
better than
Warner.
the guy who was cut at 16-1. All right, go ahead.
How about Fred Warner of the Niners?
That.
Over 126.5 tackles. We mentioned him many times on the pod at minus 112. He's been in the league 4 years, led the Niners in tackles all 4 seasons, all over the field. Like I said, 137 last year, led the team by 35, 14 regular season games. He had 7 or more. He's has a average of 131 the last 2 years. I'm going to go over 126.5 with Fred Warner. Like I said, led the team all 4 years.
I love that Niners defense. I did not love them in that playoff game against the Cowboys where we just could not get our shit going, Parlay Kid. And a lot of it is blamed on Prescott not getting to the line and snapping the ball, but we were outplayed. We were. That was dumb. But they beat up on the Packers. They almost went to the Super Bowl. It really makes this Jimmy G thing so confusing. All right, but let's stay on the defensive side of the ball. Micah Parsons. All right, Parlay Kid, over 10.5 sacks.
Yeah, look, call me a homer during this podcast if you'd like. But I do think Dallas is going to be led by their defense. They're going to be led by their defense this year. They're going to be more of a blue-collar team. Parsons over 10.5 sacks at minus 112. He had 13 in his rookie season last year. The Cowboys use him all over the field. He's just not lined up as an edge rusher. They'll line him up. You know, he's covering guys in pass coverage. So, yes, I don't think he's ever going to really lead the league in sacks because he's just doing too much. But he certainly is more than capable of getting over 10.5. The guy's an absolute monster on the field. And he seems to be, what I really like about him, he seems to be a very hungry player. He wants to be the greatest. He wants to be the greatest. And this Cowboys team, he's there. Look, if I was starting a defense right now, I think he'd be my number 1 pick.
He's the
in
one.
The whole league. He'd be my number 1 pick. No, Parsons. He does a bit of everything. He does a little bit of everything for that team. He's tremendous.
Darren. I agree with you.
10 seems like 10 always seemed like a lot of sacks, and it is, but you can have 10 and be in the top 20. That weird? Well, look, like 10 puts you in the top 20, 9 puts you in the top 30.
That's right.
So it's look, it's doable.
You watched this team last year. He had 13 sacks, but how many was he just barely? He could have had another 15. I felt like at one point. So going over 10 should not, if he's healthy, like all these props, if he's healthy, this should be a no-brainer.
He's in that backfield all the time. He had 20 tackles for losses too. So I think that was like third highest behind Watt and Nick Bosa. So all right, good pick, Brian. I love this. It's a way to bet on this being a bad pick for the Jaguars. Trayvon Walker under 6.5 sacks.
Yeah, under 6. Like I don't want to shit on Walker too much. He shouldn't have been the first pick, but the sack total is too high. 6.5. 6.5. I mean, again, doesn't really seem high, but this guy had in 3 years at Georgia had 9.5 sacks. And he's likely not even going to be in all the time, right? So he's really going to have to take advantage of certain passing situations to get these numbers, and I don't know. Again, getting to 7, it just seems like a lot. And again, maybe he'll be good in the future. It just seemed like a reach of a pick there. He hasn't shown that potential yet in terms of getting after the quarterback consistently. So I definitely think under here for him. And again, I think it's going to show as a bad pick this year, maybe not the future, but I like this one a lot.
I think you could bet a lot of these guys under. I love all the unders anyway for these. And it seems like a lot of these big time edge rushers get hurt more often than not. In fact, I'm going Von Miller. I love him as a player, but I'm going under 8.5 sacks. The last 3 years, he's had 8, 4.5, and 5. I know he's switched teams. Again, he's on the Bills now, but why is this 8.5? 8, 4.5, and 5 in the last 3 years, and now he's 33 years old. He had an insane postseason. He had like a 16% pressure rate. I think it was like 9 or 10 during the regular season, but still 33. I know that Bills team is supposed to be stacked. Actually, their secondary is a little suspect. And now watch him put his old teammate Stafford down 4 times in week 1. That'll be. But anyway, I'm staying under 8.5 Von Miller. That's my pick.